Hello, welcome to Lemon Series, where we talk movies, television, and wrestling. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for Friday Night SmackDown. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Share and leave a like. Comment below, let me know your thoughts on Friday Night SmackDown. Of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? So, yeah, this week's episode of SmackDown was interesting, to say the least. It's not to say it was a bad episode. But I would say this was an episode where I felt like they were just trying to get it over with. I felt like there was really nothing to really captivate the audience or really, well, not even that. They did shock us quite a bit with Kiana James being the one to go over into the Elimination Chamber. I really thought we were going to beef up that women's one. And even Jade's promo for that matter, when she started talking and she said, Charlotte, I was like, did she just spoil the two winners? Because those were the two likely winners, right? But no, Kiana James got the over. So there was a shock factor within it. But again, overall, to me, it just really felt like a paint by numbers, a lot of wash, rinse, and repeats, especially within that first hour. I think the second hour, for the most part, that 8 to 9 portion of my time, anyway, because I'm in the central time zone, that was the strongest hour of SmackDown. The first hour, again, was a lot of copy and paste, right? We had Cody coming out, I even was saying it before. I was like, Fort Lauderdale, what do you want to talk about? But before he can even get a word out, here comes Jacob Fatu. Again, I'm pretty sure it's a lock at this point that we are going to do at least a triple threat match. That WWE title match is not going to remain a one-on-one battle for sure. And we got 6 weeks after the chamber to really light that fire on it. But yeah, here comes Jacob. My problem isn't with you, it's with Drew. Because if it wasn't for Drew, I would have gone over. You would not be in the Elimination Chamber if it wasn't for him. And a lot of people were doing that to Cody, which I actually really did like a lot of the portions of that. We'll get to the Sammy one here in a little bit. But calls him out. Aldo's like, I gave Drew the night off, which is so stupid. And, of course, Drew didn't actually take the night off. He bought himself a box to have a nice to watch the show with. Jacob's coming out. There's security trying to pull him back. We've seen that multiple times. They leave. Jacob is escorted out of the building, and so is Drew. Or so we seem, right? Like, we've seen that multiple times at this point, and it just really felt like it was there. It was just like, well, we have 3 hours to fill, so we have to put something, and we do need to have something for our main event program, especially leading into WrestleMania. But again, with the bare minimum, we are getting a triple threat match at WrestleMania. It could be a fatal 4-way. Hell, it could even be a fatal 5-way at this point, especially with how SmackDown ended. But yeah, later on, Cody finds Sammy, goes to apologize, and Sammy's rightfully upset with him. And I really liked the audience in this segment because we were really into it. The whole back and forth. The reason why you haven't been WWE champion is because you're not willing to make those decisions because, Sammy helped him out and then Cody took advantage of the opportunity to get into the chamber. And Cody's right on that matter. I really hope that it's not going to lead to a full-on heel turn of Sami Zayn. I would just like to add those shades of gray to his character, whereas the point of like, look, Cody has a point, but Sammy has an absolute right point too, because after Trick Williams comes in, with friends like Cody, who needs enemies, got a mega pop, by the way, and then Sammy starts running to Cody, and then when he goes, I'm sorry, and the crowd goes, nah, bullshit, stand on business, Sammy. Like, we are pulling for Sammy in that moment, because yeah, Sammy has a right to be pissed at Cody Rhodes. I also do think Cody Rhodes has a right to be like, you can't be mad at me, Sammy. You can't. And, the latch that intensity on it of like, the only person you need to blame is yourself. It's not at me. Again, that whole segment was really good, and I'm glad the crowd booed to show, no, we want our good guys to have some of that edge to them, to have some of that angst, to some of that anger to them. Just because we're both good guys doesn't mean we're always going to understand each other. And I think with the crowd booing that, I think now we'll make a little course correction for that. Now, if we are, I really don't see how Cody isn't in the program because, at the end, we did Aleister Black versus Randy Orton. And the final hour is where I think the show really struggled because there was overall not a whole lot of build to it because the first hour, copy and paste stuff, right? The opening segment. And then we got Ilya versus Tama Tonga, which by all means was a good match, but everything was really about the post-match angle, right? Here come Matt Cardona. Here comes Apollo Crews. We've seen that multiple times while the MFTs beat them up. The lights go out. Here are the Wyatts. We've seen that multiple times. Now we're going to get the one-on-one match properly between Solo Sikoa and Uncle Howdy. End it. I don't need to see another tag team title match between the Wyatts and the MFTs. Draw a line under it. Okay, y'all may have the tag titles, but god damn it, we got our lantern back. And then we can just move on from that portion. Hour 2, it was all the stuff that we were promoting, right? We had the 2 Elimination Chamber qualifiers. What else did we have here in this? Oh, we had the Kit Wilson versus Oba Femi match too. Good segment between them as well. Then we reached into the 3rd hour, where I think it was announced yesterday, or it was announced the morning yesterday. When I say yesterday, I meant Thursday. I'm recording this on Saturday. I think the match was announced on Thursday, and then it got switched Friday morning, or it was announced Friday morning, and then it got switched out later on because we were going to do Io Sky versus Julia. Banger alert, right? Then it got changed to Rhea versus Julia. Again, still a fine match, but again, not a whole lot of promotion to get us ready for that match, and we're putting it on hour 3 where we really start to feel the mileage of the show, right? Good match by all means, but then we do the DQ finish, which is something we've seen multiple times, but we need to learn to accept it because that's what WWE is going to do. And then in the main event, Aleister Black versus Randy Orton, that got promoted during the show. And then Drew McIntyre comes out and costs Orton the match. Now, I think he did that to Orton just to get under the skin of Cody because, you know, Cody comes out to do the attack. Aleister gets the win. I don't see a fatal 4-way I can see with Sammy, Jacob, Cody, and Drew. I could also see maybe Cody versus Sammy if Sammy is to go heel, which I don't fully want. I just want Sammy to have a little bit of shades of gray to him. I do still think it's likely that it's Jacob, Cody, and Drew. Sammy versus Trick, because Trick is making sure to be like, look, here's how someone who gets the job done. Here's someone who you can get the job done, but I can. Watch me, and I'm going to do it. And he did. He qualified for the Elimination Chamber. Probably that triple threat match was probably the best out of all the qualifying matches so far. Now we have 2 more where we will have the chambers locked in. Again, I'm actually kind of happy Kiana James won it. It was a good shocker. I do think it increases the possibility that we're doing Rhea versus Jade a lot more, which is the match that I want. So if that is the direction that we're going to go, but it also increases the chances that Tiffany Stratton is going to win the chamber. And again, I just don't need to see those 2 mix it up again, to me personally. But, you know, if we are to give them a program, maybe there is something there. But I do think it's between those 2 now. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the final 2, regardless if EO is to qualify as the 6th person. But yeah, again, overall, this episode SmackDown didn't do it for me as much. Now, actually dissecting it, again, that 2nd hour was actually really, really good. I feel like it really flown by, but I remember watching that 1st hour, and after everything with Tama Tonga and Ilya ended and the MFTs and the Wyatts, I was just going, god damn, it's only 7:47. Like, I felt the drag, and I haven't felt that drag in quite some time. 8 o'clock hour, I feel like it passed through. And then the last hour, I just felt like, man, this just really feels like afterthought at this point. Again, the matches were good. The segments were, you know, everyone was bringing it. It just was one of those days where it was just like, it was whatever to me. And that's just kind of how I felt about this SmackDown. But let me know what y'all thoughts of it are in the comment section. Leave a like if you made this far with the review. I do greatly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. Don't forget, no SmackDown review to next week due to it being the SmackDown before the Elimination Chamber and viewership is down. And also not a whole lot seems to happen. I would assume we are going to have a segment with the 6 people of the Elimination Chamber, of the men or the women. And then whoever has the promo segment, the other Elimination Chamber, will have the 6-person tag. That's typically what we like to do, and that was what the SmackDown will be built around heading into that. We do have a tag title match, and I do think Last Legend and Nia should win it, especially if Rhea is to win the chamber. And if we pull Julia versus Io because we think, oh, that's a bigger match, we should save it for WrestleMania, then yeah, they need to lose those tag titles. Lash and Nia can hold on to them, and they'll be fine. That women's tag team division is very healthy. We could do a multi-person at WrestleMania, and everything will be good. But yeah, just this episode of SmackDown really do much for me. Next week's does seem a little bit more promising, but again, no review there. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this week's episode of SmackDown. Don't forget to squeeze the days, guys, because life is too short not to give you all, so squeeze every opportunity that you can. Until next time, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.